Hi everybody, this is for Miss Cole and Miss Hammond's class. We just left off with Rebecca trying a lemon and she liked it. Well, she kind of liked it. Wow, said Clay when she handed him the empty yellow fruit. I'm impressed. He said, he's proud of you, said Anna as she came in with Danny. Rebecca smiled at Clay and bent down to rub Danny's head. He looked up at her and then started crawling as they sat down for breakfast. Clay brought her a plate filled with eggs and mango cut into slices. She ate everything. And when Clay gave her more eggs, she ate them too. Her stomach felt round and full in a way it seldom felt at home. She leaned back in her chair and looked around the room. Danny, she yelled. He was stuck in a hole in the wall. Oh no, he's trying to go through the dog door, said Meredith. Anna laughed and got up from the table to get him. Rebecca got up too so she could investigate this hole. It's a little door just for dogs, explained Anna. Next to it was a big door that led into the backyard. She swung her arms and shrugged her shoulder just right so that her hand landed on the doorknob. Then she leaned forward, pushed the handle down, and stepped outside. Elena followed her. Rebecca, hold on, let's put on your shoes, called Meredith. She sat down on the tiled porch and Meredith knelt beside her. She reached out and touched one of Rebecca's curled feet, looking closely at the callus on top, rough as an elephant's hide. Rebecca watched Meredith's face closely to see if there was disgust, but all she saw was curiosity. Rebecca showed Meredith how to wrap her laces just right around her ankles and tie them tight. Then she stood up and Elena took her hand. They walked across the grass, past what looked like a giant fishing net stretched tight on a metal frame, to a sandy beach by the water's edge. It was beautiful and quiet in the shade of giant trees until she heard a deep roar. A boat sped around the bend, slicing through the water and sending a spray of droplets in a big arc. Rebecca lurched across the grass as she hurried back toward the house, her heart beating fast. Rebecca, it's okay, said Elena, but Rebecca didn't stop until she was inside. America was filled with strange and unfamiliar things, dogs and lemons and boats. All she wanted at that moment was her own home and her own family. She walked to the picture of her family, tipped it forward, and kissed her mother's face. The glass felt cool on her lips, nothing like her mother's warm, salty skin. Medea, there are things called crayons. They are smooth like chalk, waxy like a candle, and they leave a colorful streak on paper. There are things called trampolines, like a fishing net, stretched tight but not for fish, for jumping and running around the edge, and sometimes falling, and learning new words like ouchie. There are things called lemons that make my eyes water. There are things called dog doors, holes in the wall. It makes my head swim. So much new words, new people, new things, but I'm still the same old Rebecca. On her third morning in Austin, Rebecca went to see the doctor. She packed some toys in her backpack and folded up a tiny stroller that looked like Danny's, but smaller. It was the perfect size for the stuffed bear in her backpack. She noticed that her suitcase stayed in Elena's room. Maybe that meant she wouldn't be left with the doctors at the clinic. Maybe she'd come back with the Davises. This appointment is very important, Elena explained in the car. The doctor will decide whether or not he can help you. Rebecca stared out the window and worried. What if the doctor said he couldn't help? What if he sent her home with her feet still curled? When they got to the doctor's office, Clay lifted her out of the car and she hurried up the hot sidewalk, pushing her stuffed bear in the tiny stroller. Before she got to the sliding glass doors, they whooshed open and cold air spilled out of the building. Clay, Meredith, Natalie, Anna, and Rebecca all hurried inside, out of the sun. Danny was at home with Elena and the boys. While Meredith went to talk to someone at the desk, Rebecca found a seat in the waiting room. There was a TV playing cartoons, but she didn't understand any of the words. She looked around at all the other kids waiting for appointments. Some were in wheelchairs. One boy couldn't hold up his head. A long string of drool dripped from his chin. Rebecca stared at the shimmery thread of spit. It reminded her of Papa's fishing line, and the thought of Papa made her stomach flip. Rebecca Winstones, said a woman in blue pants and shirt holding a clipboard. That must be you, said Meredith. She stood up and held out her hand. Rebecca swung her arm up to grab it. It was time. I'll be taking Rebecca's temperature and blood pressure and weight, the woman said as she followed her to a small room. She put a band on Rebecca's arm that squeezed. Why was it squeezing? Would it stop? Her heart raced as she stared at Anna, wishing they'd explain, but she was talking to Meredith. The woman in blue smiled and took off the band. Then she asked Rebecca to stand on a metal platform. It was cold on the tops of her feet and hard to balance. Red numbers blinked on a little screen, and the lady wrote them down. Now, sit here, please, and I'll take your temperature. Alrighty, we're going to stop there, guys. And the next time, we'll be caught up with all the rest of the classes, and I'll read more the next time. Okay? See ya.